Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuhu. Welcome to our Revert show, ConvertSations. I'm Sandra and I'm joined with my co-host Vicky.
Assalamu alaikum everyone.
And sister Aasiyah.
Assalamu alaikum everyone.
It was supposed to be our last show last week, but we're back by popular demand. We've been told that, this is a popular show, so hopefully we'll be here for today and also next week, inshallah, and maybe after Ramadan as well. If you're enjoying the show, then please do let the radio know so that we can get feedback as well on how to improve the show. We've got a packed show today and we've got two guests as well, inshallah, who will be telling their stories. We're also on social media, so if you want to get in touch with us via Twitter, Facebook, Snapchat or Instagram, you can send a message there. Somebody will pick it up during the show and you can leave a question or a comment, and that's at Heritage Radio AM. That's at Heritage Radio AM. So we'll get started. It's a bit hot in the studio, isn't it, ladies?
Yes.
We've just got the ladies show today, so we'd like some sisters to ring in if possible. I'd like to introduce Sister Nora first of all. Assalamu alaikum, sister.
Walaikum salam. How are you?
Alhamdulillah, I'm fine. This is Heritage Radio. Could you just tell us a little bit about your heritage and how you became a Muslim, inshallah?
Yeah, well, I'm a Jamaican revert. My family aren't Muslims. None of them are Muslims. Inshallah, they'll become Muslims.
Inshallah.
I started looking into Islam when I was about 16, 17. I went to Wally Range High School, so it was full of Muslims.
MashaAllah.
I used to always question them about Islam, why do you do this, why do you do that? And I think when I left high school to go to college, some of my tight-knit friends were Muslims, and I think I always just watched on how they would be quite modest, how they'd have similarities that we would, but they'd just do things in a certain way, which made me very curious.
Yeah.
I used to always use the lingo. I'd be like, oh, inshallah, mashallah, alhamdulillah. And I think,
wallahi.
yeah. And I think one time my friend just said, you're practically Muslim. Why don't you just take your
just
shahada?
one of us.
Yeah, she was like, you're just one of us. I don't understand why you don't just take your shahada, become Muslim, and that's it. And I used to always say, oh yeah, inshallah, it's fine, next week, next month, when the time comes, it will happen. And they literally just rounded me up one day. It was the week before Ramadan was about to start, which was on a Friday.
Yeah.
And they said to me, do you know what? You were going to become Muslim on a Friday.
Yeah.
It has to happen. You're going to do it. And I said to them, oh, yeah, okay, then that's fine. And it came to that Friday. I went to Masjid Al-Furqan and I took my shahada, alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
And how old was you?
I was 18 at the time.
Oh, mashallah.
Yeah, I was 18.
Yeah. So, but how did it make you feel then? Taking shahada, because a lot of people say it's an emotional thing. How was it? Was it emotional for you?
I feel like it was emotional, but I think my heart was very content. I think because I'd done a lot of research behind it anyway, and being Jamaican, we don't eat pork. Back home, women cover their hair. We eat halal meat. There wasn't a massive change for me. It was just declaring that, Allah is God and, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is his messenger. That was literally the words I had to utter. Everything else was practically my lifestyle anyway. I think my friends are really emotional. They told everyone, so I feel like the whole of Mossad came to my shahada, and everyone was just like, oh, takbir, and when they do all the little sounds, and everyone was going crazy, and it was really nice. It was really emotional. The Imam, mashallah, he explained everything in depth, which was really nice.
That's usually good.
Yeah,
sign.
and it was nice for me to hear. He was really understanding. He was really slow. He was very patient with me. And mashallah, it was a really good day. It was a Friday, alhamdulillah, so obviously it was Jummah as well, so it was quite nice.
Jazakallah khair. I want to introduce our second guest today, and it's Teresa. Assalamu alaikum, Teresa.
Walaikum salam.
And Teresa, would you mind just telling us briefly about your heritage first of all, and also your journey towards Islam?
Right, okay. So I'm mixed and my dad's Jamaican, my mum's white English.
Mashallah.
Yeah, so mine was slightly different, where 4 years before I became Muslim, my sister had also reverted to Islam. So I had, I suppose, a loose background knowledge of what it was to convert, how it was going to change your life. I never ever thought that I would convert. I looked at my sister and I thought, she seemed happy.
Yeah.
And I was happy that she was happy. But in terms of me changing my lifestyle, it just...
You wasn't ready?
I wasn't ready. It just didn't seem. I lived a lifestyle that was. It was just so far removed from Islam. Even though we've been brought up around Muslims, they were very cultural Muslims.
Right. Yeah. So they was out and things.
Yeah, the industry that I worked in, the lifestyle that I led, you know, I was very materialistic.
Yeah, I was like that as well. Didn't think it was for me at all.
This is
Not for me. Yeah,
but I was
never,
I was open to other people changing
their
lives. So it was. I was going through, I suppose, a bit of depression, and you know, my sister said to me, you know, why don't you read the Quran? And I'd read it previously. About a year before, I read the sciences of the Quran, and I decided to put it down because I thought it was sort of touching home, and I wasn't ready to move on. I put it in the drawer. And I thought, I'm not going back to it. I'm not ready. I carried on the way that I was living, and I was going down a really bad path. I was depressed, and you know, my sister said, why don't you read this Quran? I sat down and I thought, right, I'm going to read it with an open heart. That's the only way that I can actually read it and take it in. And I sat for 3 weeks and I read it cover to cover, translation in English. And I just knew something was just telling me, I need to do this now while my child was still young. I had a daughter who was 6 at the time. Yeah. And sorry, I had a son who was 1 as well. No, he was 9 months. And for me, it was now or never. And I took my shahada. It was very, very emotional. It was scary because in doing that I knew that I had to leave my lifestyle behind, majority of my friends. So it was very scary. Alhamdulillah, I did it. And you know, I've had my ups and downs since then, times where I've not been practicing as much as others.
Do you think it helped then that your sister had already converted, or do you think that put you off initially? No, it helped because I sort of had a ready-made system there, which a lot of Muslims, reverts, don't have. And you know, this is what scares them as well. So even though I was leaving a lot of my friends and behind, I had a sister and her friends who I could instantly just take on as my own. So it was, and you know what was good as well is my sister, mashallah, she's very practicing, she still is now, she always has been. So her friends were a good influence in terms of, they were very strong Muslims, they were strong women, you know, they were very proactive in the community. So for me, jumping from being an independent girl to then, you know, jumping to the other side to other sisters who were also independent, it wasn't as daunting. I would agree with you there, because I think like the sisters that I know, they are very, very, you know, independent. They're all doing things, they've all got, you know, various different careers. They're not, you know, they don't fit the traditional oppressed woman that, you know, the media wants to portray. And that does help you, doesn't it? Because you don't want to be, you know, that person who is, you know, going into religion and you have to change completely. You know, I think that is a good transition as well.
Because I was 27 at the time as well.
Oh, mashallah.
So, and you know, I've lived on my own since I was 16, you know, I was very independent. So for me, it was, I wanted to hold on to some of what I was. As a revert, you find that, unfortunately, you force by yourself and other people to leave what you was. You're told, no, leave that, leave your family, leave your friends, you're somebody else now, adopt this culture depending on who it is, you're around. And this is scary. I mean, you do for the first I would say 3 years, I adopted parts of the culture that I probably didn't need to adopt.
That's so true. What kind of culture was it? You know, from what were your Muslim friends? What heritage were they?
It was a mixture. So a lot of my friends, when I first became Muslim, when I took my shahada, I lived in Sheffield, which is where I'm from.
Right, okay.
So it was majority reverts. But you tend to find a lot of reverts, depending on who they marry, they adopt that culture. Maybe it was Arabs. And in the beginning, I was very hard on myself, if I'm honest.
Right.
I was strict. I said, no, right, if I'm going to wear hijab, I'm going to wear everything. I'm going to wear all black. I'm not going to wear
in there strong.
I went in strong, I went in hard. And when you go in like that, you can only sustain that for a short period of time. You know, and I think now I'm suffering the downfall where I just said, right, I'm not doing any of it now. I stripped everything back. And I went in too hard, too quick, too fast, for too long. And, you know, you have a come down because it's like a high, you know, it's reverting. to Islam,
Yeah.
it is like a high. All of a sudden, you're enlightened.
By
And you are
everything. Everything's
seeing everything.
amazing.
Yeah.
With new eyes. So it's exciting. You want to tell everyone.
Yeah.
You want to convince everyone.
You want to embrace everything.
Yeah. And if you're not careful, you can alienate people.
Yeah.
That's
And
true.
I was hard. I used to look at people and I used to think, why aren't they doing this? Why are they committing this
Yeah,
sin?
you question
Yeah.
everything,
You
doesn't matter what
question
it
why are
is.
they doing this? They've got a clean slate. Why are they?
Exactly, yeah.
And then you end up alienating yourself sometimes, and you look back and you're like, actually, I went a bit too extreme there. Let me just reel it back a little bit.
It's about finding that middle ground. I don't think I found it yet. The middle ground.
So you was in Sheffield. How long was you in Sheffield for? And then you moved towards near Manchester?
Very short space of time. I got married, and then I moved. So within like 4 or 5 months. So the network of people that I built, I lost them, which I became very alienated.
Yeah, it's like starting all over again, isn't it?
Again.
I remember when I was in Manchester, so I converted in Manchester and then I ended up moving to Birmingham for 2 years, and it's like starting all over again. You have to build that sisterhood, and I don't think I even actually built it again. I think I was just I came back.
I miss my old mates actually. I'm going back.
Yeah, because it's difficult.
Sisters, I'd like to ask you, you've mentioned that both of you've got a bit Jamaican background, and we had a caller last week as well, and she mentioned that she was a Jamaican Christian, and our first guest on our show as well, Chantel. Assalamu alaikum, Chantel, if you're listening. And she mentioned that as well. Is there anything that you think Islam appeals to your culture, or the way you've been brought up in that appeals to you? Is there any thoughts that you have on that?
I think for me, as I said, my family allow me, women back home, like the cover and things like that. So it's not I don't think there's anything that kind of attracted me to it being a Jamaican. I just think we are a bit more relaxed. There's none of my family are like hardcore Christian, except for my mother's mother. She's a Jehovah's Witness. But none of my family are hardcore anything. They're very open-minded people. Yeah. So when I did actually become Muslim, they just used to ask me like silly questions. It was like, can you still use cocoa butter? And I was like, yes, I can use cocoa butter. It's fine. I'm not an alien. I'm just, human. I've took on a faith. It's not something else.
What else did you
cocoa butter. I've got loads of little things that people have like asked me, just like a stinger, like, why do you have this bottle of water in the bathroom?
And they always throw it away.
Yeah, my nana used to throw it away for so long, and I kept saying to my nana, please stop throwing this bottle of water away. And she said, but what do you use it for? And it was in front of men as well when she said it, and she was getting all riled up, and she's like, but why do you use it? What's it in there for? I keep knocking it over, and I'd be like, just looking at her like, oh, it's such an awkward thing to explain to you what I use it for. But then alhamdulillah, I did catch her on her own once, and I did explain what it was for, and mashallah, till this day she still uses that bucket now. She uses it. Alhamdulillah. She was like, oh, I never knew.
Mine as well.
Yeah, it's a little souvenir.
A little
little souvenir for Wudu. How about yourself, Teresa?
I think finding out more, I don't know if this got me directly interested in Islam, but finding out about my black heritage more than just what happens on the street. I grew up in quite a rough area, and a lot of the black people I knew, they were unemployed, they did dodgy things to make money. So I didn't see any strong male black figures growing up.
Yeah.
When I went to college, when I was I went back in study when I was around 25. I did something what's called a black access course. And they taught you a lot about black history, and started teaching us about a lot of the historical black Muslims, the things that they brought, like the Moors, and so for me, it was a rich history that I didn't know even existed, something that wasn't taught in schools. So when I became Muslim, I did try and incorporate my black history in with being Muslim, because again, it was just like a loss of identity. I'm very proud of not just being part black, but also, my mum is white. I'm proud of being British, English. Well, she's Scottish actually. Sorry, mum. Yeah. So, it's something that I'm proud of being mixed. I love being mixed. I get the best of both worlds. And just in terms of losing what I was when I started wearing hijab, a lot of people would say, oh, are you Somali? Are you Pakistani? Are you Arab? There's nothing wrong with that. But because I'm not, and I was always sort of, as a black mixed race person, your hair, even as any race, your hair is sort of your gateway to what defines who you are. So when you cover that, you cover some of your visual identity. When you lose that, when you're not used to having that, is honest, that I was quite heartbroken that I had to always have to explain what I was.
Yeah, and people still question your ayah, and I'm like, well, do you know what I mean? A lot of people always say, are you from Sudan? Are you Somalian? Are you African? Blah, blah, and not one person would ever say, are you Jamaican? No one ever said that to me. So even when I did say the Jamaican, they'd be like, how? No, you're not, or how, or blah, blah. And it's like, I shouldn't have to bring my passport along with me every time I go out, just to explain that, hey, I actually am Jamaican. Like,
you shouldn't have to justify
who I am,
your ethnic origin. I mean, we get that a lot. I don't know if you get it, Aasiyah, but it's like everyone think we're Malaysian. So depending on
we're both related.
You know, if I'm her mum.
Any Chinese person, are you related to Sandra? I just say, she's my mum. Go, really?
I know we did that last time.
I'm my sister.
You do, don't you? And then everyone thinks that we're Malaysian. So, alhamdulillah, it has its perks. You know, if you're with Malaysian people, they're very, very welcoming. You know, I've never met a Malaysian sister who has not been friendly or nice. They welcome you. They always give you salam. You know, they're always smiling at you. They're very, very humble sisters, mashallah. So I don't have any problem with being associated with Malaysian. But like you said, I'm very proud of being who I am. It's hard to be Chinese.
Identity defines us. It does because it's what I mean. I know we're not Islamically, we're not supposed to be nationalistic or anything along those lines, but we have to be realistic and say the country that we're born in and the family that we're born into, they instill some sort of, you know, be respectful of your culture and be proud of who you are. So when that is stripped away, if you don't have the right support in place, or you know, some people, I know a lot of reverts who suffer from mental health through getting their identity completely stripped away, and you know, to build up to try and get it back is very difficult.
It's like my mum and dad, every time they get friends coming round and I'm there with my headscarf, they're like, oh, in Chinese, oh, who's she? You know, oh, it's my daughter. Oh, why is she wearing that thing on her head? I'm sure she never used to wear it. Oh, she's married to an Asian guy. Oh, right.
I get it now. That's the one thing I hate when people say she's married. They're like, right, that's why. That's why. I hate that so much. I genuinely do.
For me, when I took my Shahada, I also got married at the same time because I was with someone at the time. Alhamdulillah, he's a very practicing Muslim now, mashallah. But at the time it wasn't. So to make our relationship halal, you know, we said, right, okay, you know, I was really serious about this. I thought, I'm wiped clean, I'm like a newborn baby, you know, I don't want to be the next day then committing this sin.
Exactly,
But then what it did for me, because I wasn't prepared to be a wife, before Islam, I didn't even believe in marriage. I was like, do you know what, it's just a piece of paper. So for me, it was a lot to just take on a husband and then taking on this different culture, and then
this whole thing is overwhelming.
Having to let go of parts of mine, not having my support. And it was very difficult. It was very difficult.
But Islamically anyway, we're not supposed to really let go of that culture, because even the Prophet ﷺ said, and it's actually stated in the Quran, that I made you out of tribes and nations that you explore one another, not dispute with one another. So that means you still can have your own culture. You can still
just
bring
doing
that
it in the right way.
Islam.
It's not my culture's better than your culture or this, that, and the other. And I think that is what's starting to happen. It's becoming, you know, favoritism with it's a form of dawah. I mean, the amount of people that have found out that I'm Jamaican and they sit there and like, oh my god, I'm in awe. Like, oh my god, you're Jamaican. I've never met a Jamaican Revert. I've been in taxis before, and you know, even you just have your normal like daily chat with your taxi driver who's taking you to work, and they're like, oh, so where are you from, sister? Somalia? And I'm like, no, I'm Jamaican. And I literally, one guy literally stopped the taxi, turned round, like looked at me, and he was like, are you Jamaican? And I said, yeah. He went, oh my god, I've been Muslim for like 40 years. I've never met a Jamaican sister. I've never met a Jamaican Revert. He was like, oh my god, I need to talk to you more. But in my head I'm thinking, astaghfirullah, I should not really be having having this type of conversation. But mashallah, it is such a form of dawah to find out all these people that have come from different backgrounds, and you literally engage with different people. That's why, you know, like all our mates, like all of them are from different backgrounds, and it's lovely, it's beautiful to have that connection with each other.
I think you get it more in the cities though, all of the diversity coming together, than in the little towns where everyone's like in their own little Bengalis there.
Yeah, Pakistanis there. Yeah, it's just
and they're just watching you
and nobody. Even, but it's not even about us reverts going in and being looked at funny. Like if a Sudanese person walked into a masjid that was predominantly Bengali or Pakistani, they'd get exactly the same treatment as what we want.
Vicky, you wanted to talk about support for reverts.
I was just wondering, like, what support networks you both used when you first came to Islam, because I think it's important. I get a lot of the time, like at the minute we're doing iftaris and there's a lot of community iftaris going on. My husband's very like, he frowns upon that. He thinks that it's like begging for food, or you shouldn't be going there getting free food, it's not good. But actually we should be linking into these things because they're there for our purpose, for us to build up a community. It's not about going getting the free food, it's about building that community and not being alone in Ramadan. So I don't know, sometimes maybe a lot of reverts feel shame in, you know,
engaging with that. I think the only problem with that is, I think as blessed as the month of Ramadan is, I will only get an invite to some people's houses in that 1 month because they know, you know, it's reward and blah blah blah, and then as soon as Ramadan's done, the ghost. I don't hear from them, I don't see them, I don't get a text message. And I think that is one thing that I would like to stress to, you know, born Muslims, is that these good deeds that we do in this 1 month, it's to remind us what we should be doing, and we should implement it in the month that it isn't Ramadan and all these other months. It's not just to do it in that 1 month and then forget about it. It's to try and implement what we're doing now, these actions we're doing now, and keep them going. So, you know, all these, you know, reverts that you've invited to your homes, keep inviting them, even if it's once a month and you carry this thing on. You know, I feel like that's why it becomes like a begging thing in this month, because it's the one time that we actually get invites and you're like, oh like come on then. And it just feels like it's a chat. That's genuinely what it feels like. And it's like, that is the one thing I would say, just keep these good deeds throughout, not in the month of Ramadan but out of the month as well, and keep them going. Don't just do it for this 1 month, make it a continuous thing, inshallah.
It's also the thing with reverts that are struggling, because a lot of us, we end up a lot on our own as single parents, or even chucked out of our homes when you first take the shahada. And we do have this thing, I think we do as reverts, where we won't ask and we won't let people know that we're struggling. But there are facilities out there to support you that you should like jump on. You should be out there engaging in them, because otherwise they're on their own, and we only find out when it ends up
when it's too late.
I mean, a couple of our guests have said previously that they've had a lot of support from NYF. I think yourself, Vicky,
NYF's
as well.
amazing.
So how about yourselves? Did you get any when you were in Sheffield? Did you have any support from any organisations? How did you get in touch with people when you wanted to learn about Islam?
Well, I had my sister.
Alhamdulillah,
and I lived in an area that Sheffield's probably got, outside of London, the most reverts, black reverts as well. Mashallah, there is so many. I can probably name about 20 people who lived in my area, went to my school, who reverted to Islam. So there was that. It wasn't. So there was support out there. I left very early, like I said. So for me, my journey started there, but it wasn't sort of established there when I moved to Huddersfield. Well, I actually moved to Huddersfield in between.
Let's get to Huddersfield.
a bit of a traveller.
A big Muslim community there, mashallah.
There is a big Muslim community there, but there wasn't anyone who looked like myself. So people would be confused, and even there's not even a black African community there where I could sort of, you know, go into that
and access.
Yes, people would be confused. It's difficult because certain people do the, oh, I'm so proud of you, well done, you know,
pat you on the back,
give you a little hug, and in a way it's mashallah, you know, even if it's coming from a good place, sometimes it can feel patronising as a grown woman who's made this choice, or people just automatically assume that, oh, you're married, oh, that's why.
There's the first question you get, so you're married? It's like,
Which I got divorced, and astaghfirullah, I don't mean that I was glad I got divorced, but when I got divorced, that is when my journey really began, because then I was like, right, I'm on my own. Let me figure out now what I'm doing it for, why I'm doing this. You know, am I able still to get up for Fajr, or when my husband isn't getting up for Fajr, am I able to implement all these things?
Test,
it was my real test, and it was difficult being on my own, being a single parent to 2 children. It was very difficult. There was lack of support. I don't know, where is this support?
Was that in Huddersfield?
This is Huddersfield, and I'd say even Manchester, to be honest.
There is lacks of support.
There is a lack of support.
There is organisations also out there that you have to
look for.
You have to,
really
but if you don't know where to look,
where to start,
and also,
this is a problem.
I'm a person, like, it's such a, you know, when you revert, you lose a lot, and you are making a public statement that I'm doing this, and I'm doing it because I'm well informed, I'm not doing it for someone else. So when you start having trouble, it's very hard for you to say, well, actually, I'm struggling in this choice that I made now, because people are going to say,
don't feel
like, see, I told you not to do it.
You don't want that I told you so.
So reverts, they hold it in. You hold it inside because you think, I'm going to struggle, I'm going to get through this on my own, and I'm going to, you know, and then everyone says to you, you're not practicing enough. Just trusting Allah.
Is this from Born Muslims?
Just trusting Allah, all a lot of things that you read. So you think, oh, you know, I'm not, you know, should I trust in Allah more? You know, what am I doing wrong? You know, it all ties in with mental health. If your mental health is not stable to begin with, then, which you find a lot of reverts revert because they're struggling with something in their life, because that's when you're more open to different ideas, when you're struggling. We
found that when we've had a couple of our guests, and they've said that they're searching for something, whether it's the EDL, and you want to belong to something, you want to be part of something, and that's what, you know, it takes you to that journey, doesn't it? And everyone's journey is different.
For me, I didn't grow up with my dad. I didn't grow up with any male figures. I didn't have no brothers, so lack of that, I got into a lot of trouble, and you know, I think people took advantage of me because, and I'm not being sexist saying this, but it is better to have a male figure in your life, you know, and people won't take advantage of you as much. Feminism. And so when I reverted to Islam, it was, and I don't want to get emotional saying this, but all of a sudden, I had something or someone in Allah who was protecting me, because I didn't even have you know, I was on my own basically since I was 13, so I didn't even have my parents, I didn't have anyone really looking out for me. So all of a sudden, now this is a massive thing for someone who's on their own to think, you know, I've got Allah protecting me, I've got there's a cover now, there's something, you know, and that is a beautiful thing. But then you're still alone, and if you're someone who's used to, you know, being on your own, if you're someone who's used to, from a young age, having to deal with things on your own, it's very hard to reach out for help. It's hard to go to mosques and say, excuse me, but is there help? And they say, help with what? And you know, you might not even really know what you need help with.
I know, but sometimes that's what happens, isn't it? I mean, because we get a lot of sisters that come to our mosque, and Hizra Mosque, and alhamdulillah, you know, they give the number to me, and they just pass it on, and I'll give them a ring, and I'll ask them what they want, what support they have. But just actually taking that step into a mosque or ringing the mosque, that's a big step.
Oh, it's so difficult, and because you're admitting that something's wrong.
But you might not even know what you're going there for. And then somebody's going, what do you want? You're like, I don't know what I want.
And it's very hard for a grown person to say, I want a friend. I need a friend. You know, you give up your friends. You know, I want a friend. That's all. It's something simple.
I think there's this idea as well, when you're talking about mental health and depression and all of that thing, within some Muslim communities, it's a taboo. Oh, you shouldn't be depressed. Allah doesn't like you. All of this.
Have sabr.
Have sabr.
Have sabr. It's a negative emotion, but actually the Prophet ﷺ himself went through a period of time after Khadija and after his uncle passed away of depression. The year of depression, that's when he did the night's journey and descended. So it's common, you can be upset, but it's just seeking that guidance in it. And
that's fine. if you want to get in touch via social media, then do contact us via at Heritage Radio AM, and we're on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook and Snapchat. Okay, back to you, Vicky.
Okay, so we left the show and we was talking about like depression and mental health and the taboos in certain communities in Islam around the topic of that, and we was talking about like a mental illness is an illness, so you still need to go and seek that help in counsellors and therapists, as well as if you was ill, you'd go seek a doctor for medical advice. But a lot of us just kind of shun it under the carpet and we'll blame it on black magic or we'll blame it on the jinn, which isn't always the case, although in some scenarios it is. But yeah, so we was just touching on that topic.
Yeah, I think a lot of people just say, oh, well, go to Allah, or, you have trust in Allah, or this, that, and the other. We know, anyone else that is, not anyone else, sorry, because that makes it seem like I'm suffering from it, but anyone that is suffering from mental illnesses, they know that Allah is there for them. They already know that. They just need somebody to talk to. So when you're dismissing them and they're saying, go to Allah, that's probably what they're doing at night. You're not with them every night.
It's when they're Al-Jamil.
Yeah, it's like, you don't know what they're doing at night when they're praying to Allah. Allah might be giving them you might be that person that they're supposed to talk to, but then you're dismissing them and telling them go back to Allah. So at the end of the day, you're supposed to be there for that person and help them and support them, even if it's just someone to talk to. They just want to talk. That's genuinely all it is.
I mean, I think that's a big problem in the Muslim community, and that's something that me as working in the community, I'm trying to address these mental health issues, because you're just being told to just get on with it, alhamdulillah, you're okay, and not to talk about it. And there are quite a lot of isolated sisters. I mean, I think alhamdulillah in this studio we're okay, we're able to go and seek help. We're independent women, we can, but there's a lot of women who are not getting that access and support because it's just a taboo to even talk about it. And, she's crazy, or she's
especially when it comes to women's issues, because everybody knows, like, after pregnancy women can fall into depression. It's not acknowledged in certain communities. Everybody knows that people may not be able to have children, or they might have miscarried, all of this thing, and it's a taboo. You can't even talk about stuff like that. So if you can't talk about stuff like that when you're getting down and you're feeling low and all of this, you're not going to come out. You're just going to build on it and build on it and build on it. And then obviously you probably would go crazy then, wouldn't you? Because it's all bottled inside and you've not released.
Just talking about that, alhamdulillah, we need to speak about it more. So inshallah, if anyone's got any questions or comments in relation to that,
or even knows organisations that help people with that, born Muslim and Revert, specifically in it.
We are in the month of Ramadan. What are your experiences in Ramadan? Do you want to share anything? Your first Ramadan, or how's it going, or any good vibes or bad vibes?
My first Ramadan, I'd been Muslim 3 weeks, and I know
that's hard.
And at the time I was a smoker, so it was
that's even worse.
And I was
horrible.
I was like a typical 20 a day Yorkshire cup of tea and a fag. And it was horrendous. I was
withdrawn.
Yeah, I was withdrawn the whole day.
And how long were the fasts then? Can you remember?
Well, it was only 7 years ago, so it was like June. So there were long days. Yeah,
long days.
Yeah, and I tried my best, and I might have missed about 6 or so. So I know.
So she'd only been Muslim 3
years. But I did have other people around me who were fasting, which helped. If I was alone, it would have been a different situation. So I realised from then that bad habit had to go. It did take me 2 years to quit smoking, but alhamdulillah, I did it. I quit smoking, and then it was just a case of just making sure that I'm out there in the community with other Muslims, not breaking up. The thing is with moms, Revert women is a different situation to Revert men.
Yeah.
Right, okay, because a majority of us have got kids. So, men can go off off, you know, on a night time, you know, they haven't got kids to drag around with them. For women are very isolated in Ramadan because there's all these events going on. Alhamdulillah, it's very good that all these events are going on, but a lot of times we don't want to take our kids out because number one, they can be very annoying late at night, right? So you can't enjoy yourself the way you, but they get tired, you know. Some of us don't drive. Manchester's a very vast city where, you know, some of us don't live. I know you live quite far out. I used to live very far out from central Manchester, which is where a lot of these iftars normally are, aren't they? So it's getting out there. My children are a little bit older now, so they can cope with coming back at 12, 1 o'clock in the morning.
And I think people don't help. You know, there was a sister the other day that explained that she wanted a break from her children, you know, as we all do. Yeah. And she made her husband take her son to the mosque. And the brothers were complaining, saying, where's your wife? You know, why's your wife not got this child? Like, you know, astaghfirullah, come out the masjid. And, you know, her son's really young, mashallah. At the end of the day, you know, the Prophet ﷺ, he never dismissed children from the masjid. You know, even when he was praying, you know, there's a story about when a child climbed on the Prophet's back whilst he was praying, and he made his prayer even longer just so he didn't spook that child from climbing off his back. He waited till that child literally came off his back, went on praying again, and then did his, then got up and then started praying again. You know, I think men have taken on this role where the woman's supposed to practically do everything, you know, supposed to be home and do this and have the children and blah blah blah, and it's like men are supposed to be there for the children as well. Give your wives a break, take your children out, you know, you have that connection with your children as well. You know, this is why, you know, women are falling into these states of depression and have nowhere else to turn to because they should have the husbands.
I mean, do you what are your experiences, Nora, during Ramadan? Anything you want to share positive? Anything positive or negative?
Yeah, well, alhamdulillah, I think my first Ramadan was really good. I literally just became Muslim, so I was literally flocked with like a load of people that wanted to give me everything. It was like, no, I want to feed you, no, I want to feed her, like I want to give her this gift, I want to give her this. And mashallah, people wanted to teach me how to do wudu because obviously you get the reward of every time that woman does wudu, then you get that reward. People wanted to give me everything, and mashallah, it was so beautiful. But it goes back to that point again where don't just do it in that 1 month. Make it a continuous thing for reverts. I feel like people soak up, you know, when a person becomes Muslim and they take their shahada, I feel like people soak up that person for such a long time until they think, right, you know, I've given them what I can, and then they kind of like dismiss them and just think, oh well, they can go do it for their own now. And it's like, no, I still need that support. I still need someone, you know, teaching me little things and saying, oh, like, come out, or do you need help and things like that.
I think from my point of view, I became a Muslim when I got married, so I think we have two different types, you know, of reverts. We have the ones who go into it because they marry somebody who's a Muslim, and then you have people like yourselves who've come to the deen, alhamdulillah, through your own means. And I think the experience is different because I get a lot of sisters now, they're contacting me, they've married somebody who's a Muslim and they're just expected to just get on with it. So these families, they're practicing families, but they don't feel the need to teach their daughter-in-law who's just become a Muslim how to pray, how to fast, and it's kind of like something that they don't want to talk about. It's like, oh you teach her, you know, teach her, you know, it's your job. But then sometimes the husbands themselves, because they're not practicing, they don't have that knowledge, but then they don't let the wives go out because there is access. There are people who want to pray, and I think you're lucky in the sense, Nora, because you had friends who were encouraging you. But I think there is a different experience if you've married into a Muslim family, if you become a Muslim as a result of marriage, because when you come in for yourself, you're getting different experiences, aren't you?
Can I just say, I think the sisters that come to Islam through the marriage route have the most difficulty, because when I got married 5 years down the line after taking my shahada, that was the biggest test for me, wallahi, I'm not going to lie. And if I got married before I knew Islam, I would have never accepted it from what I experienced within a marriage from a certain culture.
But have you heard from experiences from other reverts, Vicky? Have you had experience from reverts telling you? Do you know any reverts who have married? Like the experience that I'm saying is that when you marry somebody who's Muslim, that's how you've come to the deen. Because I see a lot of sisters, they're just struggling. You know, they've got the salwar kameez on, you know, they've got they're making the curries in the kitchen, but they're not getting.
And that's Islam. That's what they're not.
Do you know what? No, I think this is the problem. I think when they get married and they become Muslim and they get married, you need to remember that this Islam is for you.
Yeah.
You know, when you're learning about the Prophet, when you're learning about Allah, it is for you, because, you know, God forbid if anything happened with you and your husband, you are going to be left with, my husband taught me this, I did this with my husband. What about you? You need to make sure that your connection with Allah is there first, and we need to implement that. And I think that has become the problem, because, you know, mashallah, I was married when I first took my shahada. I got married, you know, a month after, but alhamdulillah, when I was married, we had the same friends, so that's what made it easier. So don't get me wrong, you know, mashallah, there was tests and there was trials, but it's having that connection, it's having that time where you sit down and you do something for you. Like I used to study, you know, hadiths, that's what I used to do. When he'd go to uni, I'd be at home, I'd be reading the Quran. So if he did ever leave, mashallah, I knew what my Islam was. If he left, I still had it. I still knew who Allah was. I still had that connection with Allah. And I think that's the problem, is that we do everything for our husbands first, and then if something happens, we're like, crap, like what do I do now? You know, who is Allah? I only know Allah from my husband.
Do you not think though, sometimes when you're learning along the way, I'm not saying don't learn, but because I had that knowledge there straight away when I entered this marriage, I found that subhanallah, was the issue. I knew too much. I couldn't adapt to their ways because their ways was too cultural, and it caused huge clashes.
We've got some messages in. We've got one from Facebook. Aasiyah, do you want to read that one out?
Yeah, we've got one from Facebook. She said, "You guys are amazing. May Allah bless you all.
Thank you, Mum, for texting.
Keep strong and united always. Ameen. Sending some northern love from the East London." And she said, "The guests you have on with your heartwarming Revert stories. Big up to the Jamaican sisters."
Brat, brat.
I've got a text message as well. So Jazakallah khair for texting. She says, "Assalamu alaikum. We are listening. Totally agree about Islam is for us and not the marriage. Reverts really need to be grounded in their faith before marriage."
That's true. It is true. You need to learn who Allah is. I think we do that studying beforehand. Jazakallah khair for the text message. We do that quick study beforehand. You know, mashallah, I know who Allah is and this, that and the other. But then when we become Muslim, we do it for, and it's not an intentional thing. You don't do it for your husband, but because, you know, you're pleasing your husband and everything's, you know, lovely and it's fresh and it's that romantic period where, you know, you both like getting to know everything. That, you know, when these calamities do happen and something does happen within the marriage, and then you fall into that state of depression because everything was for him, and you connected yourself with him, and your Islam was through him, that you are left with nothing else. So I think that is the one advice that I would give to people that would revert is learn about your deen. Do not learn it with your husband, mashallah, because you will get reward for it, but do it for yourself. Let your husband go, do whatever he's doing and whatever, but then you do your own little studies, and then when your husband comes home and tell him, "Oh, do you know what, mashallah, I learned this about Islam today," and then you've got that foundation there where you can be like, "Do you know what, I didn't do that with my husband, I did this for me."
I think when I reverted, I said to my husband, because it was like 2 years of telling me to revert, and I said, "No, I don't want to, not interested about Islam at all, don't believe in no God." And then after 2 years later, I said, go on, tell me about Islam, I want to learn now, but I don't want to hear it from you, I want to go find some sisters. So alhamdulillah, met Sandra.
Aasiyah's very strong-minded.
I think
Says Vicky.
I think I was then, but I think I've gone quite a lot relaxed lately.
And I agree with what Aasiyah is saying, and Nora and everyone here, is that you have to find Islam for yourself. You know, alhamdulillah, you've come to it from marriage.
Yeah, and that's amazing.
But there will be a point in your life where you realise that, you know, this is for me. You know, and if that's Islam is for you, then you'll stick to it. Otherwise, if there is any issue with the marriage or anything like that, then, you know, your Islam is going to fall apart. We'd like to discuss, if we can, sisters, the concept of racism. We did receive this message, and it wasn't in relation to the show. It's something that a sister posted. So I'm just going to read it out, and if I could get your view on it, that would be much appreciated. So this is a sister that's posted a message on Facebook, and she's written, "I am black. Allah has made me this way, and He loves me this way. I love myself this way, but some of my Asian brothers and sisters do not agree, and this is made clear. This is made clear by the non-returning of salams, the refusal to smile back, being isolated, stared at and judged at in the masjid, the khutbah being delivered in Urdu or Bengali, not being worthy to marry, being a symbol of shame for any Asians who do accept and integrate with us. It spans further than this, the blatant disregard and mistreatment of reverts altogether from the Asian community. We are made to feel distinctly different, and true friendship with an Asian for a revert is a myth. We are not worthy, simple as. Before I continue, this is just only a snapshot and is an experience that a revert sister has experienced, you know. So
any views expressed on this show are not necessarily those of Heritage Radio.
Yeah, it's just merely a point of discussion, because you know we are a revert show and we want to discuss the experiences that sisters have. So you know, she goes on to say, you know, I'm reaching out to all the Asians within their community who hate this racism, isolation and judgment, because not all Asians are like this, of course. So before this Ramadan, speak to your relatives, speak with the revert you see in the masjid. They're dying for the community you have had your whole life. Give us time, we are Muslims too. Islam to give us unity and free us. Don't let a colonial mentality ruin this. So have any of you experienced any type of racism from the born Muslim community that you'd like to share?
I think it's, do you know, sometimes it's difficult to know whether it's based on racism or just the fact that you are not of that particular culture, or because within this subcultures within cultures within, so you might be from the same race, but if you are a different caste, then you're rejected from that family. So for me, it's, you know, do you know what, as a person of colour, I've been subjected to racism all my life, so it's not any different all of a sudden. Yeah. So it's not a standout thing. Maybe someone who, I've noticed a lot of white reverts, they instantly feel the shift because they're a little bit more privileged. Yeah. So for me, someone who has had there's been that constant underlining racism throughout my whole life, I've learned to deal with it, not accept it that it's right, but learn to deal with it. This is just another form of racism, prejudice. I notice it when I'm trying to get married. That's when I notice it more, because
this is what the sister's saying, isn't it?
Yeah,
that, you know,
there is
difficulty when seeking marriage.
Seeking marriage, because you know the majority, I don't know the statistics, but just visually, there seems like there's more Asian Muslims in this country than not. So it's when you're trying to get married, their criteria would be they want someone Pakistani, they want someone of the same caste, if not, you know, the same village. So automatically you're out of that. I'm on different.
Do you find that when you're looking for marriage, they're happy with a revert, but what they mean by revert, they
mean a white revert.
Yeah. Also, I think the ones that are happy with reverts are ones that have got very shady past, so that is all they feel like they can have, because no other Asian family is going to want to take them in. So they think, right, okay, just it's easy for you to get married to a revert, you know, because you know they've got the same sort of past as you. So I think sometimes, and we are generalising here, we're not tarring everyone with the same brush. Sometimes that's the case, but you know, it is more popular now. You know, our communities are very linked. The black community, the Asian community, you know, they're very integrated now. So you find a lot of Asian guys, you know, they are having children with, even if the girls aren't reverting, they're having children with black mixed race girls.
Yes.
It's not so much the other way around yet. So my ex-husband is Pakistani, so my son, he is very proud of being, you know, part Pakistani. He's only 7, so he looks like he's got a very good relationship with his dad. His dad is very good with him, and his dad has sort of forced him on his family in a way, and so he is accepted, but he's different, and he's always going to be different, and my son doesn't realise it yet. I mean, it visually looks different. You know, my son could be from Sudan or somewhere, or he doesn't look Pakistani. He doesn't realise that yet because he's 7, and I think I get upset when I think he's going to have a very rude wake-up call soon when he's older, when he's telling people, I'm Pakistani, because he wants to be like his dad.
Yeah.
You know, someone soon is going to turn around and say, you know, you don't even look it. And
I mean, yeah, I get that same problem with my kids.
Yeah.
If you see my kids, they look more Chinese, so they don't look Pakistani at all. And my son, he goes to a school which is full of Gujaratis, and he gets racist comments as well. And you know, alhamdulillah, he's a tough one, so he doesn't, you know, he sticks up for himself, he gives as good as he gets, you know, but he shouldn't have to deal with that, not in the Muslim community. And if he had some issues, then, you know, alhamdulillah, he gets both cultures. So he gets the Chinese culture as well, so he gets non-Muslim family, you know, as well as a Muslim family, and he gets both of them. You know, they eat Chinese food and they eat curries, you know, so they get a good all-round thing. But, you know, it's something, again, the Muslim community don't really want to talk about, you know, racism. They just want to sweep it under the carpet and think, oh no, let's not talk about that. Everything's all nice and
no
rosy.
racism in Islam.
Everything's fine, you know, this is what Islam teaches us, you know, that, you know, we're all equal. But in reality, that's not the same, is it? You know, Nora, do you have any experiences you want to share?
No, not really, alhamdulillah. I think I've had a really good alhamdulillah, Allah has really blessed me with really good friends and good family, but I genuinely think it is because I'm quite strong, I'm quite confident in myself. I feel like if anyone did give me any crap, I don't care. Sorry, I'm very just like,
I mean, well, have you, any of your friends or anybody you know, any reverts, have they shared anything with you, you know, without naming any names, or any experiences that they have?
I know a brother, mashallah, he's married now, mashallah, alhamdulillah. He had a lot of difficulty getting married when he first reverted. I've known him trying to get married to Pakistani ladies, and he was speaking to her sister for a while, and he was really good friends with that her brother and her father. You know, they'd do Jamaat together, you know, they'd go on holidays and things like that. And
sorry, what race was she?
He was black. He was a black brother, and she was Pakistani. And mashallah, they didn't know that he was interested in his daughter. And the day that he mentioned that he was interested in his daughter, they literally turned around and said, no, not you. Like,
previously they were friends.
Yeah, previously they were friends. They're going Jamaat, they're going on holidays, mashallah, you know, this, that and the other. They really love this brother. But for their daughter, it was like, no, you're black. Like, they actually said to him, I'd rather my daughter marry a gay man that's not Muslim than marry a revert brother who was black. That was the severity of that type of... For them, that's how bad it was for them, that their daughter marrying a black man.
They can't really see beyond the
colour of his skin,
despite him having.
And he's a really good, mashallah, practicing brother. And you know, it's quite sad to think that you will pick race over someone that would have treated you, that would have took your daughter to Jannah. This brother would have took your daughter to Jannah, and you're going to say, no, I don't want her to go there because she's black.
I don't think a lot of these communities, some communities think, about the akhirah. They don't think of it like, it's about pleasing Allah. They think, no, we have to keep a certain way because of the community that's around us. You have to dress that way. You have to wear that abaya, not because I fear Allah, but because I fear what the people down the road are going to be saying to my parents. That's what it is.
How about you, Aasiyah? Have you got any friends or anyone who's suffered any similar experiences that you'd like to share?
Just what everyone kind of inputted, really. Usually more to do with marriage. You don't really get accepted, or don't get left looking, or even you tell a brother, he puts on his profile that he's open to reverts, but then when you introduce like a black revert sister, oh no, don't even want to look at the picture, just purely because she's black and my family won't accept it.
And it's something that needs to change, isn't it? The mindset. I think
even if they are willing to marry as well, you enter that marriage, but they still look at you as the outsider, and you will never get the rights that their own would get.
Yeah, that's true.
They'd never give you them full rights that they'd give their own, because they know that they've got brothers and they know that they've got fathers behind them that are going to put them in their place if they step out of line.
So do you think it's the case then that reverts should marry reverts, or do you think that, you know,
I
everyone
think it's
should
just being
try and-
self-aware, isn't it? I think if you know, I think it's between you and that person. I think if you know he's interested in having, you know, a revert wife, it's you saying to that brother, are your family going to accept me? And if they're not, are you going to support me 110%?
Yeah.
Because I feel like a lot of sisters, they get married to that brother for the sake of Allah, because they love him, blah, blah, blah. And then he's like, oh, you know, it'll be fine. You know, I don't care what my family say. And then as soon as they get married, he's listening to his mum. His mum's, you know, putting was in his ear, saying X, Y, and Z. And then he's listening to his mum, and then Nanny and the family, and you know, Auntie G gets a little saying, and it's like, do you know what? Like, it's true. You know, every Tom and his friend gets a say in their marriage, and I feel sorry for those revert sisters where they've thought that the husband are going to back them and support them, and it's for those brothers that are interested in reverts to say, if your family aren't going to support them, make sure you are that support network
Because
for your
took
wife.
that step in the beginning.
You knew what
went
you were
against
getting
them in the
in,
first place, so why not stick to what your thing was at the beginning?
Yeah.
Okay.
But the reality of it is,
It's a mess.
it's not just Pakistanis who do this.
Oh no,
And it's not just in Islam.
Pakistanis. We're not
Black
bashing.
people and brown people get this from the day they are born to the day they are dying.
Yeah.
There's, you know, my mom, you know, obviously, you know, she had me, black man, her family disowned her.
No.
Yeah, so this isn't just concentrated. This is something black people have to live with
Day in, day out.
day in, day out. And
It's
then they
true.
come to a religion where people, you know, they've got this little post. There's no racism in Islam.
Yeah,
and
it
you are
makes you laugh. They
accepted.
tell you about Bilal, and they're like, oh yeah, Bilal, you know, a Bakra that used to look after the Prophet and slaves and this, that, and the other. And they're like, oh, you know, mashallah, you know, they're really well known in Islam, and you know, Bilal used to do the adhan and blah blah
So
blah.
you let your guard down.
and then
go
you
to
think,
Saudi Arabia.
yeah, and then they think, but I'm not marrying you though because you're black. It's
You
like,
let your
what?
guard down, so you think, oh, I'm welcome, and then you get slapped in the face. No, I'm not as welcome as what, you know, they're making out. It's disheartening, but you know, it's just something we've got to live with. I can't see it changing anytime soon.
We're on to our last half hour of our show, inshallah. We were talking about racism within Islam, and it is something that, you know, it's, I think we were discussing off air that it's something that, you know, our next generation, you know, of children, you know, our generation and the generation after will change, hopefully. Inshallah, because, you know, we are living in a multicultural society, you know. I think we're also being constantly told by the media, you know, what are we? You know, are we British or are we Muslim? You know, we can be both. I'm British, I'm Chinese, and I'm Muslim, you know. And there's a lot of this identity crisis going on.
Yeah.
I think that exists within our youth as well, because there is a lot of issues with the youth, isn't there? You know, they don't want to practice Islam, and they don't have you know, any guidance. You know, they're not looking for the right avenues, and because they don't practice Islam, that has a knock-on effect with everything else, and that includes the parents as well. You know, they're not teaching the children, you know, properly, you know, inshallah. Did anyone have any other thoughts about that before we go on to something else?
I'd probably just tell born Muslims, just, you know, this is Islam at the end of the day. These are the type of things that you will be questioned about when you have these like racist thoughts towards a certain colour. And I think it's not even just black. I think own cultures, like even Asian cultures, if she's not fair enough, then you can't marry her. So I don't genuinely think, oh, it's just black or white. I think within their own cultures, and I think you were saying before,
Caste
Teresa,
as
like
well.
even back home in Jamaica, they'll start bleaching their skin because they want to be lighter, and being fair is this, you know, beautiful thing to be fair. But it's like, no, I'm dark skinned. I
And then you
love
get the
being.
opposite on our side where they're killing the sunbed.
It's just you just want, and it's like, just be happy in your own skin. Don't judge people for their skin colour at the end of the day, because I've seen and I've heard of people that have fell in depression, that have committed suicide just because they've not been accepted for their skin colour, and it's something that they can't change. Or they'll try and change the skin colour by bleaching, and they'll look, and it's like, why? Be happy in your own skin. I'm happy in my own skin, which is why I don't let things affect me, and I don't let things get to me. But I think I was explaining before, when I was married, you know, his parents were revert, so I feel like I had that support network where, because they were older generation, they'd been through the things that I was telling them about. So alhamdulillah, that really worked for me, mashallah.
So we just want to talk about, obviously, some of the challenges and difficulties that you faced. Just for example, I mean, praying and reading Quran or anything like that? What were the difficulties or challenges that you had? You know, we talked about Ramadan, but did you find it easy? Because some people, you know, alhamdulillah, they find it easy to learn Arabic or learn the prayers. Was it something that you had a problem with, or did somebody teach you, or did you use YouTube, or what was it?
Nobody ever taught me how to pray. I think the only thing is I felt really embarrassed trying to. I think people just assume, like, just pray next to me, and then they don't really kind of say, like, I'm gonna go down. Like, they don't do it beforehand. They'll do it whilst they're praying. They'll do it whilst it's like a farad prayer, and they have to pray. And it's like, I'm not gonna be bowing up and down. Like, at the time, you're thinking, I can't like bow up and down, and like, oh my God, what am I supposed to be doing? And they're putting their hands in the air and they're saying Allahu Akbar, and I'm like, what did you just say? I don't get what that actually means.
What they're doing when they're silent.
Yeah, and then they're doing this thing with their finger, and I'm like, what's that? What? Are you okay? And I'm like, do you have an itch there? Like, what's going on? But I think it's something that we need to probably address and think, what is the best way to kind of teach, you know, reverts how to pray? I, alhamdulillah, went into World of Islam, and I found a children's book on how to pray.
I think we've all been there once or twice.
And I swear, it was only £1 or something, and mashallah, that really helped. And I think some people find that really embarrassing to try and find like children's books on how to pray, but this is why Allah washes us away, and He says that we're like children now, because we are. We have to start again like we are children. We do have to pick Arabic up like we are children. There's no shame in it, and it is the simplest way to learn everything. I learnt my Arabic that way. I took children's books and I learnt my Arabic. Then I went to classes, and alhamdulillah, I felt so much better knowing my alphabet and, you know, learning simple things back home. You don't have to tell the world that you're reading children's books. Just buy them. You know, you could pretend you've got children, take them home and read them.
We recommend that. So when a Revert sister says to us, what book do you recommend? And then we there's like a book, How to Pray, and it's a children's book. And we'll just say, get that book. And the Islamic studies books that they have for children from age 7, they're really good books as well.
Mashallah.
You know, just to teach you the basics. And like you said, there's so much literature out there now, books and everything. I think Aasiyah was mentioned.
YouTube. I mean, back then, over 10 years ago, there was no YouTube where someone was showing you how to pray, but now it's just
all over the place, isn't it?
You know how to do wudu as well. Alhamdulillah.
What I had was I had a very small laminated booklet, so it was probably like 2 by 2. The writing was very small, and I would have it in my hand and I would hold it while I prayed, and just you know, just very carefully to put it on the floor in front of me, pick it back up, and that is. But it took me a very long time with the pronunciation.
I think a lot
I've got a very broad northern accent.
I used to bring it everywhere with me to study circles or wherever, at sister's house, and sisters used to say, "Oh, you can't do that." I said, well, I don't care what you say. I'm still doing it.
Because you need to learn it anyway. So it's
how are you supposed to learn it?
You're learning it, aren't you?
Yeah, or I know that some people say you can do it in your own language, but I just thought just do it from the get-go. And it was very difficult.
I think the problem is people make Islam too hard. They try and say, oh well, like even when I was learning Arabic, you know, people wanted my tajweed to be on point. And it's like, fam, just give me a break. Like,
I can barely speak, I can barely pronounce words in English, never mind in Arabic.
I'm like, just give me a break. Like even praying, like what you just said, Aasiyah, like people, like, if you're trying to learn a certain way, sisters are stopping you. I've had people whilst I'm learning and I'm praying, and they'll stop me whilst I'm praying and be like, you shouldn't do that, or you know, your hijab's like, are you showing this? And it's like, just give me a break. Like, do you know what I mean?
Like, I got slapped on the head because my foot wasn't the right way. I got my headscarf pulled out.
She's got a broken, done something to your ankle anyway.
So I got slapped on the head. Auntie was telling me, and at that point I didn't finish my salah, so I had to wait till I finished my salah, and then I turned around. She went, your foot's in the wrong position. I was like, okay, alhamdulillah.
So she came out of her khushu', out of her salah to slap you?
She finished, and then she slapped me, but I wasn't finished.
I've had that happen.
And then I had
before.
a sister putting my headscarf down because I think some skin was showing up the back of my neck.
What happened to you, Teresa?
I went to I'm not going to say which one it was, but it was my first. No, I'm not. And it was Eid prayer, so the first Eid prayer, and I was very nervous. I was on my own with he was 2 at the time, my son. So you know, as you know, it's the mosque is going to be packed, and I was I'd never done Eid prayer before, so I didn't know it was as short as it was. So I got very confused. I was like, what is going on? And when I went down, the back of my neck was showing, obviously with my hijab falling, and I just could feel someone really tugging at me, and I turned around, it was an old woman who was saying something in language I didn't understand, but she was sort of telling me off. The worst thing what happened to me being Muslim, which it was so upsetting, I was travelling in Morocco, and I went to pray, and in the mosque I had travelling clothes on, so I had long wide trousers, and I had a very long shirt, it was like past my knees. So I was covered, but I didn't have my abaya on. And when I'd finished praying, the imam of the mosque came over to me and started shouting at me in
Really?
Arabic. Obviously I don't understand Arabic, but he was pointing at my clothes and pointing to other women what they was wearing. So I was a bit taken aback because I couldn't answer him and I couldn't also understand him. And he went into the back room, he got out a plate of sweets, and he went round everyone in the room, including my own children, and gave them a sweet and left me out. And I'm quite a tough cooker, and I was hurt. I'd only been Muslim about 2 years then. I was hurt. I was offended.
Wow, I never got that in Morocco.
And this wasn't everywhere. All the Moroccans don't get offended. This was one place I'm talking about. Someone was, he probably thought I was Moroccan. To that, I probably looked Moroccan. He probably wondered why I'm not wearing it in a abaya. But it's just, people need to be patient. Don't judge people outwardly. Exactly. You don't know who they are. Why they're not wearing an abaya. You don't know why they're doing something.
Yeah. So just because we sin differently from you doesn't mean that you're able to just judge someone. And I think that's the problem. I think their intention's good, but there's a way of doing it. Don't while someone's praying tug the hijab because you've just that would have been a farad salah. You've just taken that person out of their khushu and they've got no concentration now because you've just slapped them upside the head. Do you know what I mean? Like, you need to understand that that's a sin what you've just done. You've just hit that sister while she's praying, doing her farad salah, and you've just done a sin trying to do something that's good. And it's like you need to just refrain, wait till the sister's done, and then pull her aside at least. Don't do it openly so everyone's listening to you. Pull her aside and say, sister, whilst she was praying, the back of your neck was showing, or your foot's supposed to be this way because with your situation, Aasiyah, you've hurt your foot. There's a reason why your foot wasn't like that, but because she assumed, are you just being arrogant or something, and you're just being like whatever. And the foot thing, it's not farad anyway, it's sunnah. These aren't things that have to be done in your salah.
I remember a few years ago Nora went to Taraweeh at a certain place, and I had to have a chair, and my chair was getting nicked.
And then someone was literally taken off
3 times, and I just, you're not old. Why do you need a chair? And it's like, you shouldn't have to explain yourself. You should think, if that sister's pulled up a chair for herself, it's not sheer laziness, It was literally when we put it down, our auntie would just sit on it and just look at it and go, did dismiss you with the hand, like, you don't need it.
Now go get another one. Same thing would happen.
Same thing happened.
I think sometimes people use their religion just to be rude.
I think subhanAllah, this is why
under the blanket of you are supposed to give advice. There's always, we are humans at the end of the day. Whether you're religious or not, there is a way to give advice. There is a way, and you don't do it giggly. I've had people, I've fasted on the wrong days before, and like this certain sunny days, and I've been with a certain group of girls, and they've laughed among each other and made me feel really small, and I'm still trying at the end of the day. I didn't know, I was very new at this.
Even if it weren't on a Monday or
I think people forget that, like, if they're a revert and they're doing something, even if it's sinful or if it's a good thing that they're doing, because they don't know. Allah always says, actions are judged by intentions. Their intention is for that good reason. If they think that was for that good reason, then correct them, but have the best manner. There's a reason why we should implement sunnahs and follow the Prophet, because and there's a reason why he had a massive ummah. There's a reason why still to this day, after how many years it's been since the Prophet was alive. There's a reason why our ummah is so great and it's so big, and we still have this love for him. He was the best at speaking to people and being compassionate towards people, and we forget that sometimes. We think, oh, well, I know this and this person doesn't, so I'm gonna tell this person this and make them do this right. And it's not about right or wrong, it's just, you know, having sabr, talking to them.
Yeah, it's trial and error as well.
Start implementing, you know, trying to give advice to someone, but sometimes it might come across wrong.
I think there is that we talked about that as well, isn't it, about people just being, you know, like fake, as it were, like under the cover of trying to help you. They just want to put you down, to make it themselves feel better, because they're lacking in their deen in some way, so they want to compensate that and say, oh, let's pick on a revert today, we should come to the masjid, or she's not dressed appropriately, let's just have a word with her.
Pick things that are just not necessary, like, you know, I get things like salah, you know, that they're really key points. If you know, someone's seen something about me, that's one thing I'd want, but there's some things where I remember I'm quite loud, like just being black, you know, I genuinely just think it's in my genes to be a loud, like talkative, even the way that I laugh. And I wore niqab for 2 years, and I remember I've had it quite a few times where people would say, you wear niqab, why'd you laugh like that?
Oh my gosh,
you wear niqab, why do you do this? You wear niqab, why do you do that? It's like, I wear niqab for the sake of Allah. Like, I still, it's in my genes to laugh this way. I'm not overly laughing to be a certain way. I'm not talking this way because I wear niqab. I do it that way, and people will shun and put their opinion on certain things. And niqab for me was such a test, and it was something that I did purely for the sake of Allah. I wasn't married, I wasn't anything. I needed something that brought me closer to Allah, and I felt like people tried to strip that good deed that I was doing away from me to try and just say, oh, and it's like, do I not speak now? It's like, am I not allowed to talk? Am I not allowed to do certain things just because I wear niqab? And it was a form of dawah. I know several sisters, mashallah, that still wear niqab to this day because they've seen me wearing it, and they thought, this is a beautiful thing. You had the right niyyah behind it, you had the good intentions, and alhamdulillah, you know, I don't wear it now, but it's one of those things, these sort of comments, you don't know the after effect that will have on that sister or that brother when you're giving them these opinions of yours.
Yeah, because sometimes you're not confident in yourself, are you?
Exactly.
I remember when I used to go to the mosque, and you know, you go to these events and then everyone gets the Quran out, and I couldn't read the Quran. I couldn't read it for about 10 years before I became Muslim. And I actually felt really embarrassed. But then it's like you said, if people are judging you, aren't they? You know, why don't you go up to a sister and say, you know, Assalamu alaikum, you know, how are you? You know, like you said, talk to them like the sister said on the text message as well. I mean, we have a lot of people who come into the mosque and they're interested in Islam. They're not ready yet. They're not there. So can you imagine if they bump into somebody who's like that, you know, these people that we discussed, they won't come back.
Exactly.
You know, they'd run a mile. So, you know, I think everybody
needs to calm down. Who don't come back because of that. There is.
I've been to some certain classes and study circle that sisters have been like that, and I've never gone back.
Me and my sister was on holiday, and I'm not going to say the place because
don't be bad.
Me and my sister can't speak Arabic. Now, my sister's Muslim. I said my sister is half Arab, but she wasn't. You know, she was just raised with us. So my sister reverted when she was older. So she can't speak Arabic. She can probably speak less Arabic than me, but because she looks Arab, people, you know, assume she can speak Arabic. So when we went on holiday to this Arab-speaking country, this man, all we kept saying was shukran, shukran for everything, which means thank you. And he started shouting us, saying, is that the only stupid word that y'all two know how to say? Can't you speak Arabic? And we're trying to explain that. Well, no, because I'm not Arab, you know, wasn't raised. People automatically assume that you're a Muslim now. Why can't you speak Arabic?
Yeah, why don't you know this? Why
can't you speak it? You know, Arabic is very difficult.
I mean, some people, alhamdulillah, they find Arabic really easy, but, you know, I dropped out of an Arabic class because everybody was just going too quick. You know, 1 minute you're learning, you know, like objects, and then you're going to sentences, and I was like, I don't know what I'm doing, and I left. And I felt really embarrassed, but even the teacher was putting pressure on you, like, you know, putting you on the spot and going, oh, do you know this? And you're like, I don't know. And it is difficult because I'm learning a different language, you know, it's not my first language. Exactly. And then you're comparing it to the language you know, the grammar, and then you're kind of getting really confused.
I'm at university doing it, and I still cannot speak Arabic. So it's definitely a biggest trial for me.
And I'd say the opposite to that as well. I feel like people put us on a pedestal as well. As soon as you become a revert, they're like, oh yeah, reverts, and mashallah, you know, they know that they're on the haq, they're on the truth, they know the deen and blah blah blah. And it's like, that's great, but I think some of those opinions should be kept, because then I feel like when you've told that sister, when you've told that sister who's a revert, I used to get that all the time, and I felt like I was put in this box then where I felt like I was being fake, because I felt like the sins that I just normally do, because I'm a little potty mouth sometimes, and I F and Jeff, that is my sin, that is something that I do, and I felt like people would be like, oh, you know, no, and they'd go on with themselves. I have my own little downfalls. Let me have my downfall. Don't put me on this pedestal and make me feel like I can't be myself around you. They do expect perfection, absolute perfection. And if they see one little thing, it's like, it's this big shock, and it's like, oh my God, give me a break. It's like, seriously, give me a break, man.
Do you find that since when you started wearing hijab, that people expect a lot of you? When I started wearing hijab and abaya, people expected the world and more, and not being perfect. And then now that I don't wear hijab, I can see it from the other side. Now people expect very little, and the surprise that I know so much about Islam because I'm not wearing hijab. So it's again, you know, females, we are judged on our headwear.
And we had that conversation with Dom that time, and he was a revert, Dominic, and we spoke about how it is for revert men to how it is for revert women, and he was so surprised how difficult it is for us as reverts women, whereas, and I think that he was just like, his life has been great, it's been perfect, mashallah, he's married this lady now, and this, that and the other, and he's integrated, and it was quite sad actually when I left that tour. It was quite sad to think that brothers can be so embracive and just love whoever, no matter what skin colour, they'll love them. Maybe not to marry their sisters, but they will love that brother regardless. Whereas with sisters, if that person reverts, she's got all these categories she's got to fit in. If it's an Asian culture, she's got to learn, probably know a bit of Urdu, or she's got to wear kameez, or this, that and the other. She's got to do so much. It's just too many things that you've got to be judged on, and then you think, I've already got to deal with my own identity crisis by wearing hijab. Give me a break. It is really hard
with hijab and praying and stuff. Like when you kind of like get a bit disheartened with the deen and you kind of slacking, I feel there's only certain people that you can tell without them
being judgmental.
I've noticed that, and I've learned throughout the whole 10 years to keep a lot of things
to yourself.
But then you're a lone sheep, which is what I've done.
No, I think when you have your group,
I actually I found it better, to be honest.
Keeping it to yourself.
I can't find the balance yet.
I think you need a good support network. You need a good group of friends.
You kind of like moved different places, and now you kind of settled a bit now. So I think you will get that group.
Yeah, I think you just need to find the right people.
Yeah, you do.
I've seen it with Aasiyah, you know, mashallah, because I've known her for like 10 years. Has it been more than 10 years?
More than 10 years.
But I've seen her friends come and go, mashallah, and then I'm like, oh, you know, they used to do something, don't they? You know, and they show the true colours.
But you've just got to live
I'm
just that type of person that just lock you off.
That's what I'm like.
You're like,
right, bye now.
But if I do see them,
Vicky's still standing.
I will be polite. I will be polite and say salam and stuff, but as in regards of chilling together and ringing you all the time, no.
And it, like you said, it's like what Nora said, you had a good set of friends, you know, alhamdulillah, brought you to Islam, and that's what some of the brothers said last week as well. You've just got to surround yourself with
good people,
sisters, and if they're not good to you, just get rid of them. You know, you don't need them in your life.
And you take them natures away as well, who you are around.
Because you kind of become like them.
It's true.
If they're, you know, they're not praying,
it's like habits, little habits.
Then you're just gonna.
If we need demand boosters, we go Muslims.
But I do, one thing that I do disagree with in the text that you wrote out before was, read out before was that, you know, a revert can't have a friend with an Asian. I think that's false, because I know girls who are really good friends with Asians. Yes, I'm thinking of one person in particular who I know you're really good friends with. So
I do. Really.
But they understand
because this is a different generation. I think when we're talking about the elders here, who the ones who are maybe like 40, 50 plus. this is a different generation. Maybe you know, and maybe there's still more work to be done.
No,
But
there's definitely work that
there's definitely work to be done. But I think that's a bit harsh saying that.
Yeah, I think that's just her opinion.
That's her opinion. That's her experience.
And a lot
Yeah,
of people,
that's her experience.
I
Yeah.
think it was just for a discussion point, and a lot of people actually did relate to some of the points, not all.
Yeah, I definitely related to that. Yeah,
because I do have a lot of support network from my born Muslim friends as well, and my friends are great.
Yeah.
Born Muslims.
Alhamdulillah, you know, may Allah continue.
But I do find that the people that are born Muslims, a lot of them are involved in dawah work, so they're exposed to us a lot.
Yeah.
And that's probably why they're different and understand us more.
Yeah.
No, not all. I mean,
Most
some of my friends that are born Muslim, I mean, I can just go to the houses, the mum will welcome me, have dinner, I could go there every day and have dinner. You know, my other friend, her dad was heavily involved with dawah, but not the family. Not her father's the sisters or brothers. They met me afterwards, but they were really welcoming.
Yeah, I like that family. I know what you're talking.
Yeah.
So it's good always that way. Teresa, you mentioned that you converted when you had before you already had your children.
Yeah, 2.
So how did did they convert to Islam, or did you teach them? What is your experience with that? Because we do have a lot of people who they convert to Islam, and they might have children, and what is the transition, if any, or in that respect?
For me, because I had family who was Muslim, we'd sort of been exposed to
Islamified.
Yeah, we've been Islamified slightly. So my daughter was 6 at the time, 6, 7. Son was 9 months. So, and his dad was Muslim. So,
Alhamdulillah.
yeah, he had the adhan in his ear when he was born. So even though.
Oh, we got the call.
Hello, assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam. How are you guys?
Alhamdulillah, I'm fine, brother. Do you have a question, or would you like to say something?
Well, first of all, it's a fantastic show you've got there.
Jazakallah khair.
What I'd like to ask is, you were talking about, reverts being like babies.
Yes.
I think, do you think there should be a little school or a little university just for converts?
Well, we've discussed that, and at the moment we're actually looking into I'm involved in a group called New Muslims Manchester, and what we're trying to do is hopefully at the end of July is set up a course just for reverts, a short 10-week course, just back to basics really. I think they would benefit from a class, definitely. Do you think you would have benefited any if you had a class that, just run for reverts? I'm just asking listeners.
Yeah, I think a networking class as well.
Yeah.
Because we're fortunate enough to live in an age where we can go on the internet, we can find like YouTube videos. It is the people, it's the interaction.
Connection.
We need human connection. Yeah. So that is what is the most important thing, because we're social creatures. We need human interaction.
What would be the best time to hold classes, because everybody's working, aren't they?
Yes.
So what would be the best time to hold these classes?
I think it depends, because some people who have not got children, they prefer an evening class if they were working during the day, or a weekend class. I think the classes that we're going to hopefully start soon will be on the weekend during the day, so maybe like 10 to 12.
Yeah,
Right.
I think most of these people either have children, so it'll be an evening or a weekend class. I mean, us as reverts, we have a little group that we have anyway, and we used to do a study class every Thursday, and it was really hard for us to even maintain that, because obviously more people were having more children, and it was hard obviously having to do something during work, and then obviously getting up the next day. So either evening classes or weekends would be amazing.
Can I ask a quick question? If there was crash facilities,
Yes.
food, everything provided, and that course was in the night, like night classes. When you finished work, you've done all your work during the day, everybody's asleep and you're calm, and you had all the facilities, look after your kids and food and everything, would that be enticing?
It possibly would be. I mean, I think, Vicky, you've been on like one of these overnight camps and things before. Do you mean like an overnight camp thing where they stay over?
Yeah, no, I'm talking about overnight, on a regular basis.
Yeah.
No, a proper school that runs in the night.
Oh, a school. I think it's an idea that's. I think, brother, that's an idea that's worth exploring. I mean, if you don't mind, if you could text us later on, leave your details on this with the studio if you're interested in. We can have a dialogue. But
I think access to institutions is a big issue as well. Like access, because we find that a lot of them are based like either in a small town that's not easily accessible. So you have to think of location as well when thinking of classes.
What I found is that people are too busy during the day.
Yes.
So if there was a facilities at night, even if it's an hour every evening,
yes,
and and it's calm, you can get there quicker. There's no traffic. You finish your chores in the day. You finish work, and just little classes but regular basis. Because one thing I seen is there's no momentum. You can't have a class every month. You're gonna have regular classes, and it's like becomes a little family.
Yeah, I think I agree with you completely, brother, and hopefully inshallah we will be doing a 10-week course. I think a 10-week course or an extended course. Thank you for calling. Jazakallah khair. There is a need, I think, for new reverts to have classes, and even existing reverts who might have been Muslim for a long time.
Vicky's been to classes, that brother Gullum did, NYF.
Oh yes, they was good classes, starting with the basics.
Yeah,
so the brother was asking because some of our guests, they can't hear the caller. He was asking about classes. Would you benefit? I mean, even if we started one now, because we're going to be starting one soon, probably end of July, inshallah.
What I was just thinking then when I was listening to that is that my because we don't speak Arabic in our house. A lot of the classes that my daughter's attended to learn Arabic herself, they're quite advanced and fast paced. The homework that she was getting sent home was for parents who speak Arabic. So she was very behind, and in the end we just thought, right, okay, learn at home, or just now she's not learning at all, she's just doing it now and again. So I think there needs to be something, if possible, that is aimed towards
slow pace
parents, but also let's have somewhere where the children can come as well. Again, there's a lot of the statistics are most revert women revert at 27. That's when I reverted as well. So a lot of times women have already got children then, so they're already coming into this religion with children.
I think it's doing a class of a creche. I think if they did something like that, or
with a creche, or even something where children can go at the side and they can learn as well.
Maybe more informal learning rather than the formal where you just sat there listening. More
interactive. Asking the children what would they want to know, what are their difficulties.
Forget about the children of reverts as well. This is very important, because this is what I worry all the time. We worry about our parents. They're not Muslims, but we also really worry about our children. We always think, are our children going to be Muslim when they grow up? Are they going to choose this? But so we need to have a foundation for them, so they're not looking outside thinking,
I agree with you.
Look at my cousins, my non-Muslim cousins, they look like they're having so much fun. So we need to remember the kids as well.
I think we're at an advantage because we become Muslim, so we've already done that and got a t-shirt, done all the stuff that was out of our system, but then our kids, they haven't done that.
No, they didn't choose this.
And they're kind of like, they're being exposed to that now, the free mixing, the student things that students do, and then, like you said, we're concerned about them as well. So
it's
there
a
is
big worry,
a need for it. We're coming to the end of our show. Have you got any closing comments or anything you'd like to share with you, Nora?
Or any advice?
But Jazakallah khair for
some readers
coming.
that are listening.
Yes, anyone who's listening or
for reverts, I would.
Or born Muslims.
I'd do one for both. I think for reverts, I would say learn about your deen for you, because at the end of the day, the one thing that we learn about in Yawm al-Qiyamah is that Allah is going to question you and not the people who are around you. So when you're learning about Islam, when you're learning about the Prophet, when you're learning about Allah, do it for your gain and yours alone. The one thing I would say to born Muslims is be considerate with reverts. Have compassion. Take things in paces. The Quran was revealed over 24 years. There's a reason why it was done in segments, in stages. It wasn't all taken and embraced in one time. So just, give reverts the benefit of the doubt. They can do it. Give them support, show them support, even if it's just a call. Just say, hey, how are you? I've not seen you in a while. How have you been? Don't just contact us in Ramadan. Don't ghost on me now. Don't ghost on me. Literally. People be like, Nora, where have you been? No, where have you been? That's the question. Where have you been, mate?
They do that a lot, don't they?
Where have you been? It's like,
I'll do that when I move, Nora.
Teresa, would you like to say anything?
Yeah, just sort of following on from that. Remember that a lot of Revert sisters who have married as well move from their home cities because
Exactly, yeah.
They've had to uproot.
They've had to uproot, yeah. So a lot of times they're in a city, you know, where they don't know people, they haven't got family, they haven't got friends. They need that extra support. So just following on, yeah, you know, don't assume that just because people are surrounding them in Ramadan that, oh, they're all right then. They'll be all right outside. Or when you see someone at the mosque taking the shahada and everyone's hugging him, everyone's taking the numbers, and, you know, and then don't think I won't ring them because, you know, even I've been guilty of this as well. So I'm talking to myself here as well. You know, carry on, keep that contact up, you know, WhatsApp them every now and again, see if they're all right. I know sisters who have just completely fallen off because they miss their friends so much, what they had in the other life. So, yeah, keep it up. And again,
husbands as well. I would say that about husbands. I feel like with husbands, if you're going to tell your wife don't do something, she can't go out at Maghrib, she can't do this, give her something to do. Replace that thing you've taken away with something that she can do.
And also, don't be hypocritical, like your wife fully covered and then you're out in your
tight
Your little belly top and your low neck, like, yeah.
I mean,
I get that a lot, Vicky.
Yeah, your tight jeans, man.
If anyone's listening and you know a Revert or you are a Revert who is isolated, please do call the studio because we have got organisations in Manchester. We'll get somebody to support you. You're not alone. There's a great Revert community in Manchester, alhamdulillah, and there's always somebody there who's there for you. So do get in touch and don't feel that you are alone, because we wouldn't want you to feel like that, especially during Ramadan when it's the month of giving, the month of blessings. Jazakallah khair to my lovely sisters in Islam for coming on our show today. May Allah benefit you from the rest of Ramadan, inshallah.
Jazakallah khair.
And Assalamu alaikum. And Jazakallah khair to my lovely two co-hosts, Aasiyah and Vicky.